Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for June 18th, 2019, with your host, Spacebreaker2448, and Ramp It Up Salon.
Hi.
The first proper show back from a whole bunch of E3 nonsense.
Yep.
Ugh. Unfortunately, some of it has seeped over because the Pokemon news with the no national decks and stuff. Yeah, some people are taking it way too far with that and being very angry, upset about it to an unreasonable degree.
I mean, can we really super blame them?
If you're harassing a site administrator who says it was a bad call and harassing him over it because he's not super angry about it, probably. Yeah. If you're harassing people because they don't completely agree with you, yeah, you might be taking it a little too far. Rein it back a little in, folks.
I mean, I guess though that falls into that whole, it's fine for them to say they don't agree with something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't go to the harassing point.
Yeah, don't be an asshole about it. Have a conversation about it.
Because I even feel like it's a dumb decision.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't change it. We can only hope that it gets fixed over time.
Yeah.
So, meh.
Yeah. we are back to O's, but we didn't get to talk about like the first half of the Den-O stuff with Geo. I think was that the last episode that aired before we were about to do the podcast?
I think so.
Yeah. How you feeling about seeing Grand Geo in person for the first time in a tease?
Looks as dumb as the scans made it look.
I like the power, but god damn it, will they not do anything interesting with it?
Yeah.
Because it's better than Decade Completes, because Decade Completes only just summoned the suit and had it mimic Decade. That's all Decade Complete did for terms of summoning suits. That's all it ever did. This, it's like, hey, we summon the rider to do a finisher, and maybe an additional attack, maybe. I think they might just be limiting themselves because they are actually summoning them from specific episodes.
I don't think they're limiting themselves.
I know, but
as much as I feel like they're cheapening out on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel it's just one. It feels just one of the cases of Geo has a good idea, and they do nothing with it. Because I feel like if you give this to a Sakamoto, he's literally going to be like, "How much can I pull out of the toy box?" Or "How much am I allowed to pull out of the toy box?" Because I'm sure he would find the limit and then go to that limit. And maybe try to cheap out and do a few more past there, if possible. Yeah, we are back to O's this week with 13 through 16, which originally aired December 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th of 2010. Pretty much the last of the O's episodes for 2010, I believe. I believe after this we're in 2011, starting with 17. I did not check the date, but I assume we're starting in January.
I would have to think so. Thing is, the 26th is too close to actually have another episode in 2010.
Yep, January on episode 17. Yes, so the last of the 2010 episodes. And there's a reason I said 2 weeks, because we'll get to there in the recap a little bit. Because if you're watching along with us, we have a certain change to the opening that happens every now and again that I'm just used to. And also, we haven't had happen in Geo since like December, which feels weird. Also, did it ever really happen in Build? Because something tells me they didn't do it for Be the One.
I don't honestly remember.
I feel like they did it for Forever, but I don't think they did it for Be the One. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, just as a heads up, if you didn't know, they usually change up the opening to show footage from the movie to say, hey, go watch the movie, in case you don't see the entire movie from all of the openings that get shown. Or see all the cool stuff from the openings. But anyway, shall we just hop straight into the episodes?
I guess we shall.
Alright. we're gonna kick things off with episode 13, a Siamese cat, Stress in the Genius Surgeon. We open in the Coast-Casir as it's Old West Day because I don't know if there's a theming for whatever the Coast-Casir has outside of it's just that thing that day.
I'd say there has to be, though.
Well, I meant like internally in the episode, if there's meant to be some connection here.
There probably is.
I can't think of one offhand. Yeah, I can't think of one considering I would get it in the next two, not this two. But anyway, Unk is trying to, I guess, eat in silence because he doesn't like people. But Chiyoko continues to have antics around him that leads him to be very angry and upset.
All the time.
And Hina and Eiji are kind of making light of the situation. But he mellows out. He just takes it, and I think he just walks away.
I have to think that he was thinking of ways that he could just get rid of her.
But meanwhile, Goto's off practicing his ride vendor riding marksmanship with his shotgun. Because he needs practice, I assume. Satonaka arrives in her Mini Cooper to say, "Oh, by the way, I'm going on a vacation. You're stuck being Kagami's personal assistant. Bye." So Goto has that to look forward to, which he's going to shirk almost immediately. Because
almost immediately. I think he pretty much did immediately.
Yeah. But yeah, he's doesn't care because he's got better shit to do, to quote him.
Yeah, save the world, whatever that's supposed to mean in his definition.
Yep. Meanwhile, we see a surgeon at a hospital get denied a surgery because she got too big of an ego. Is it more or less of an ego than Hiro's ego from X-Aid?
I don't know.
I want to say more.
I don't know, honestly.
But we see that Kazari decides that she's going to be the one that'll give us our yummy this week. And that's our cold open, which our opening now has movie war core footage. Which, for reference, folks, we'll be covering next week. So we're going to get 2/3 of a good movie next week.
You're going to have to remind me, by the way, of that.
Ow.
Because otherwise I will forget.
Oh, later this week?
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, or begin the next week, either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get to see beautiful footage of Skull in action because Movie War Core is essentially Skull's first story / Double's last story. A random O story that is so out of continuity that you have to pretty much stretch it across the entire series in order for it to stretch and fit in canon. And then a third portion that is also the same way. But it's more at the end of everything. Like I said, I think I've said this multiple times. Toei loves to play fast and loose with continuity. If this movie is an example of that, I don't know what is. Coming out of the cold open, we have Ankh ranting literally about all of the questions we currently have in the series, which I think is just a hilarious way of going, here's all the important questions in case you're wondering. Audience. I mean, the only non-important question here is Hina's strength, which I just find hilarious, is tossed in there in the mix, even though that will never get answered. She's strong because...
Yes.
She is. I mean, how do you think her brother is able to survive all of the shit Ankh does to him by possessing his body?
Very true.
We see Kazari make the yummy out of her desire to do surgery, which means she just is gonna just do surgery on a whole bunch of people at night while they're unconscious, which seems extremely unethical and dangerous. And why does she still have a job after this? Like, does the staff not know about those?
Well, we do find out that they do, though.
Yeah, I'm just like, that seems illegal. That seems like something she could get fired for, but I guess we don't have a plot if we don't have her around, so.
Very true.
But Ankh senses this, and him and Edgy are off to investigate. We see Kazari is talking to Maki for a little bit about their plans, and we get a bit of a tease of the birth with the birth driver showing off for the first time. In physical form, mind you. It has been in the background in sketch work. And like in sketches and blueprints. But this is the first time we've seen the physical driver in person, which, like, we've had several episodes building to birth at this point.
Yeah.
But en route, Ankh and Edgy have to deal with trash yummies, which are just yummies made out of broken cell metals, because they need to be delayed for a while. Ankh gets one over on Edgy because he has him use the Kawagata metal that ends up shocking him along with the trash yummies, because Ankh is a dick. Although, this is more of, this is payback for having me deal with Kyoko all on my own earlier, asshole. Have fun. We see Uva plotting with the rest of the Greeds. They have a subplot going on that we don't see really anything of. We'll check in back in with them later. At the hospital, we see people demanding to have this lady slice them up to make them feel better, which that's not how surgery works. Do any of you have an actual problem that would require surgery?
Yes, they have a problem. The problem of they need surgery.
Like, what were their surgeries before?
For the need of surgery.
Crazy ass people. To be honest, I could almost believe this to be real. I'm like, no, a bunch of stupid people would go and hassle a hospital to have this one person cut them up because she's really famous and shit.
She's really, really good at cutting people.
Yeah.
But no one. Sorry, I feel like that's needed there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they seem to be really not able to get into the hospital, except Ankh goes, oh yeah, the cop was a patient here. So we're just gonna use his body as an excuse to get in. We cut off to see the director is having some heart issues as the staff is discussing their rogue doctor. And we also see that Goto also sees all this going on and decides that he is going to get in somehow as well. And he's going to get in the same stupid way Ankh's getting in by just wrapping him in bandages and just wheeling him in like, you seem like you're someone in need of surgery. We also check in with Kagami, and we see that one of Goto's lackeys, which I didn't realize Goto had lackeys until this episode, is apparently being assigned cake testing. And Kagami seems really happy about Goto not doing his job. Well, not doing his assigned job.
Which is funny.
Yep. But we see that Hina is at the hospital babysitting Ankh while Edgy is off to investigate. He does manage to intervene when our doctor lady tries to slice up the director, because she tells her no, and she says this hand with knives and shit on it. And he even manages to get her to come outside so they can fight without people being injured. Can I just point out once more that Edgy is a really good person and also intelligent in how he fights? Like, instead of trying to pick a fight with her then and there, he waits till he gets her outside, which puts him and her farther away from Ankh, because I think he doesn't have medals on him now.
No, he don't.
Because of the previous episode. Yeah, he doesn't have medals on him, so he's putting himself more at risk by getting further away from Ankh and making Ankh come to him with medals. After Ankh decides to stare down a kid because he's a dick, Hina just drags him off. But afterwards, they run into Goto, who is there in the same manner as Ankh, just wrapped up in bandages and stuff, and they have a fight, which leaves the cop lying dead in the hallway, and Goto injured, legitimately injured. So that's fun. Ankh manages to arrive Edgy. He gets in the medals, and they fight off the cat Yummy, which separated from Surgeon Lady. I honestly do not remember her name.
I don't remember either.
Yep. Edgy makes short work of her, especially using Sagozo, but the lady wakes up and stumbles down a hill to the fight and refuses with the Yummy, because this needs to be a two-parter.
Yeah, and we can't have it ending right now.
I'm like, this is the dumbest excuse for a two-parter I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Like, hot damn.
Yeah.
Like, usually this is what the greeds are for half the time so far. It's just, we need this to be a two-parter. The greed needs to intervene.
Which, I mean, that works.
Yeah.
Because each time that's happened, that's also helped build the whole tension between them.
Yep.
This one, it just feels like, we need a two-parter. What can we do? Let's let her roll down the hill and merge back, and okay.
Yeah, mid-Sagozo finisher, too. So, if Edgy was not faster on the draw, she would have got really hurt.
And or killed.
Yep.
Probably killed.
Yep. So, Edgy is left chasing after the lady, who's now refused with the Yummy, and also good now. After using a full combo, so he's not in the best shape. Also, the cop has now been admitted to the hospital because, remember, he's dying. And he's been dying since episode 1. Haven't really made that any better, have you, Ankh? Also, Ankh is tired of all this bullshit he's been dealing with this episode and probably the last few episodes, and decides to say fuck this shit and leaves. So, we're in a bad spot all around. Which moves us to episode 14, Pride, Surgery, and a Secret. We see the cops being attended to, and Hina is pretty shook up about the whole situation now that, like, oh yeah, my brother was dying. Oh fuck, my brother is dying. fuck? Like, I'm pretty sure at this point it hasn't really rung home to her that, like, oh yeah, Unk is the only reason my brother is alive. Fuck, Unk's not here. Oh shit, he's dying again. We also see that the director collapses because his heart is giving out on him, I guess. We don't get a real reason why the director is like dying as well, I assume. Eiji drops by looking for Unk and runs into Hina, who's all and meets up with Hina and finds out that yeah, shit's bad, like really bad. So he has to go off to find Unk. But he runs into the director, who recognizes him, and he ends up telling him about the surgeon and tells him everything. And then now he's after looking for the surgeon. So it's going to be a busy day for our hermit rider.
Yeah.
And that's our cold open. Coming out of it, Eiji just starts spamming Candroids to try to cover more ground, which is probably the smartest thing he could do right now. We see that Ankh is being accosted by Swy because dogs don't like him. So once more adding to the list of things that don't like Ankh. I also love that I think Ankh was literally about to pick a fight with a small dog because it was barking at him.
Yeah.
All because, by the way, he's in hand form at the moment, and he's laying on a bench when this happens. And I also think, considering, like, depending on how rough of a shape he is in, that dog could be able to take him. But we cut to Kagami, who tells Goto he needs to drop his pride to get better, which Goto won't do. We also see that Satonaka is off the Kosuke because she likes spice and she's getting something spicy. And also, she can go to town on the cakes, which is why he hired her to start with. Because, by the way, Goto's goon is like passed out from like sugar overdose, I guess. We see the Greens are continuing to plot in their side plot that we still won't see anything of. We'll check back later. And Eiji manages to finally meet up with Ankh, who is busy trying to attack the Yummy and getting his ass handed to him. Because of course it does. Ankh keeps reading, he's only a hand. You are only a hand, good sir. You cannot fight. Well, you can't go one-on-one. You can't 1v1 a Yummy. This is why you have Eiji. So Eiji manages to save Ankh and takes on the Yummy, while Ankh is off to go save the cop because that's the deal they have. So back at the hospital, we see the cop react a little bit on the table before Ankh is reattached, and Hina is happy outside of Ankh being back and is very I don't know, the usual self with Ankh. Like when she accidentally injures Ankh again, she only apologizes to her brother, not Ankh, just her brother,
which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, Eiji manages to save the surgeon who got swallowed by the Yummy, doing the same thing he did before with the last time we dealt with the Kazari Yummy. And he drops a bit of hermit wisdom mixed with the director's word so that she can like be a better person now, and goes to like help out the director. Which we see her arrive, and the director tells her straight up, "Oh, you need to perform the surgery." Which she's like, "No, I don't want. I do not want to perform surgery on my father." Which is now when we find out, oh yeah, he's her father. Oh, I guess that might explain a lot.
Yeah, kind of does.
But yeah, the director then reveals, like, yeah, I was doing all this so that you would get a bit of fear. Because you're in a position where you literally hold the life of someone in your hand. Sometimes quite literally, depending on the surgery. That's a weighty responsibility. Maybe you shouldn't take this so lightly. Or be so pompous and arrogant about it. Because if you fuck up, somebody's dead. Or potentially worse. Which I feel is good and notable. We see Edgy continue to fight off the Yummy, but Kazari hops in, and now it's a handicap match, which is not good for Edgy at the moment. Because Kazari ends up getting 2 of his medals back. I believe the middle and the leg ones. Like a Tora and a Cheetah.
Yeah.
And we find out he only needs 2 more medals to completely revive. And I believe, if I'm remembering the series right, he will be the first one to completely revive.
Actually,
properly.
That doesn't surprise me.
Properly. Like, not counting what we get to in the next 2 episodes. Properly. Unk drops by, gives some more medals to Edgy so he can actually fight. Cody also takes out some trash dummies that show up because he feels like helping, and also just blows off Unk when he wants to fight. Which is what's more of a case of, Unk just wants to fight people, but no one wants to fight him because no one has a reason to fight him.
Yeah.
Edgy manages to take out the Yummy, and Kazari bells because it's like, I'm good. I'm not letting you get any more medals. Goodbye. We see the surgeon did good, and she's learned her lesson. She's a better person, so that's a +1 on Edgy with helping people this series in the 2-parters. But meanwhile, we've seen that Uva and the other greets have been essentially gathering his cell medals off somebody else, and they've been using the entire situation as a distraction. All the trash yummies, Kazari and his plot, that's all been a distraction so they could just get a whole bunch of cell medals from Bazul's greed. And it's literally the exact same greed we saw her use before.
And it's kind of funny that was the case too.
Yeah. Which is one of the things that you don't see more in recent Rider. Mainly because we just don't have that many, like, differing factions of bad guys in recent Rider, I feel like.
Very true.
Like, we kind of have that in Geo, but it's not present. It's just the Time Jackers. There's no real presence from Oma Geo or anyone under him in this series. Like at fucking all. Outside of the 1 episode it happened in.
That we can't even say it was probably intended.
Yeah. But we end on Maki continuing the plot, and his plot stuff is for the next 2 episodes. So how'd you feel about this 2-parter?
I feel like, especially watching the next 2-parter, this set up quite a bit.
Yep.
And I do mean that. Quite a bit. Honestly, I feel like it was pretty good outside of the whole, we kind of padded the monster of the ark.
Yeah. That was like the only thing I had down on it.
Like, I don't think it could have worked without having the monster span over 2 episodes. I think there was too much going on to try to do in 1 episode. But at the same time, I don't really like the way they handled that one either. I guess maybe if the Yummy could have been the reason why they kind of merged back together, it probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
Not the fact that she kind of just literally stumbled into it.
It's one of those cases of the script needed one more pass in the oven.
Yeah.
To kind of like rough out the last little edge of it. Which happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, it's just that I think that's the only downside I've got on that.
And that's probably like the least like bad thing you could probably throw at these 2 episodes, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, they slightly padded out in order to get the 2nd episode, which was still good.
Which, I'm wondering, okay, if you were to try to fix that, would there really be any other options besides the Yummy just going back to the doctor on purpose?
Not really.
Because, like, the only other thing I'm thinking is you could move Kazari and his little subplot up, but then I feel like that causes the flaw of, if you do that, then you have a defeated Yummy while Mazul's Yummy's active, meaning that why didn't they know about that?
Yeah, I think your only other option is maybe more trash Yummies come in and take the hit.
And that gives the Yummy enough time to merge back.
Yeah, like, and your only problem is, if that's the case, you can't use the Sagozo finisher. I feel like you have to use another finisher.
True.
Which then comes down to, are we forced to have Sagozo be the finisher for this episode? Which then gets into the eccentricities of Rider and like other Toku with like, okay, how much do we have to abide by merchandise situations?
Well, I'm not even looking at that part of it.
Yeah.
I'm excluding that part of it. Because, truthfully, for that matter, you might could even loop around and maybe make some kind of a reason as to why Sagozo couldn't be the one to finish the Yummy off.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably write something like that in a little easier. Well, actually, yeah, you could, with the trash Yummies even.
Yeah.
Have too many.
Yeah, I feel like that's your only option outside of the Yummy just gets away and just dumps back into the surgeon's body. Which, then I guess it becomes a question of, are you having the trash Yummy show up too much to make it obvious that there's a distraction going on?
Not really, because they don't know why they're showing up.
Yeah.
And I have to think that that throughout the episode they probably think that Kazari's the one doing it.
Yeah.
So it would honestly kind of fit in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my only thought on how to fix it. And it's like I said, it's one of those cases of sometimes you just need another pass on the script or the episodes to kind of rough out get the edges down, make it really nice.
Well, that's why I was kind of bringing up the how would you go about fixing it, because, I mean, you can't push Kazari up, because then that would still entail destroying the Yummy, which wouldn't explain why Mazul's Yummy went unnoticed.
Yep.
So that has to stay at the end, so he can't intervene here.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's not a lot of extra options that could be done to where the Yummy would merge back with the host for us to get the remainder of this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, maybe that was the best option they had.
It's the corner, unfortunately. That sometimes happens in writing where it's like, fuck, how do we get out of this corner? Piss.
Just let it go and be plot convenience.
Sometimes you have to if you get stuck in a corner. It's just like, fuck, we need out of the corner. Just do this and we're out. Okay, we're good. Okay, we got the rest of the episode. Especially if you're writing I assume if you're writing multiple episodes at the same time, back to back, it's just at some point you got to just move on.
And see, I kind of feel like that might be what happened there. They might have not so much wrote it back to forward. They might have wrote part of the beginning, setting up the characters, and then knew where they wanted to go with Kazari by the end of it. But at the same time, it was that in-between.
Yeah.
Because you make it too short, then you've got an episode and a half, which could have happened. Or you have to find a weird way to pad it, and it might not necessarily fit perfectly with it.
Yep. Alright, shall we roll on to episode 15 then?
I guess we shall.
Alright. We have the metal struggles, the transporter, and the vessel. We're seeing Maki make his moves for his little experiment that is to come later. We see that it's Christmas time now, because the Coast is getting set up for Christmas, and Edgy ends up getting the ice bill for Onk's ices, like ice pops, and it's fairly expensive apparently. Apparently, Onk just goes to town on them.
Apparently.
Which is why I said it's his new addiction. Although, there's a thing about the greed that it's been hinted at a couple of times, and not really overt. It's only if you know this, you know what this is situations. That makes me curious because they never go into it. Granted, I don't think they ever really go into this. I'm trying to remember if they dropped this detail in this episode. And I don't think they do. Checking my notes real quick. Don't think they do. Because it's in Edgy and Kagami's conversation in the 16 where it could have been dropped. I don't think this detail is, but again, if you know O's and you're watching along with us, you would have seen the hints that I'm talking about, because they're overt if you know. Otherwise, it's like a stylization choice, I feel like. But anyway, we see Onk upstairs checking out on the metal situation and find out, he's been spying on Kagami, and finds out, fuck, one of my medals is in his possession, and he's transporting it with a bunch of cell medals per Maki's orders, because he wants a bunch of cell medals and stuff for an experiment. That's our cold open. Coming out, we see Edgy dragged off by Onk because he wants to intercept this transport to get his medal back, and Edgy's like, no, I don't want to cause trouble. This is not how we do things. I don't want to make I don't want to be an asshole. But Kazari drops by in human form to tell them, oh, by the way, Hina's been kidnapped and she's on the transport. Now you got a reason to go. Bye. And Edgy, being probably the smartest person in this entire situation, immediately goes to Kagami Foundation, immediately hops in front of the transport, talks to Goto, and is like, yo, do you have Hina in the back of the truck?
He didn't immediately do that.
Oh.
He went to go see if she went to school first, and then if she was at home first, and then...
Yeah, he did my bad. I cut out that part because it was just hey, he made a call. Hey, he went here and went there. No. Okay, now to actually check the transport. Still probably the most sensible things he could have done.
Very true. But I just wanted to make sure that point was made there. Because It's like, yeah, he didn't go straight there. And... I guess I can understand. Go check where she's supposed to be first, and then
actually go trip the trap that says, "Oh, she's on the transport." Okay, but yeah, hops in front of the transport, talks to Goto, and just goes, "By the way, are you by chance transporting a kidnapped Hina at this moment?" And Goto's like, "No," and then we see the back of the van, and she's not there. But we, the audience, know she's actually been kidnapped. So now the question of, wait, where is she actually if she's not in the back of the truck?
Well,
because nothing we're shown with Hina shows that she's in the back of the truck. All we know is she's in some room.
Or at least some box.
Yeah, she's in a box, but we don't know where the box is. And after seeing this, Edgy decides, well, you guys are my only lead. Do you mind if I tail you? Which Gojo corrects him in saying, that's not tailing if you tell us you're going to follow us.
Yeah.
Which Edgy's just like, okay, I'm still going to follow you then. And we also see that Unk will follow them because, of course he does.
Yeah.
So we have our convoy going out, and they are stopped at a bridge by the Greed because, of course, they are here. They want the medals. Because I already probably told the rest of them where this transport was going, because this is part of a very elaborate scheme, by the way. So Edgy and the rest of the ride vendor people have to fight them off. Mainly Edgy, because the rest of them are useless besides Goto, because he's the only one with a name.
Yeah,
I don't think
the rest are ride vendor schmucks, 1 through however many there were. I think there was only 3 this time.
Yeah. I was about to say 1 through dead, considering what happened to the rest of them that weren't Goto in like episode 1.
Yeah. Which I have to think they recruit more people. To this I say, why would you do that?
They probably pay really good, is why people hop on.
They would have to. Like, I could just see that. Well, what does the job entail? Oh, well, you might die.
You may or may not be killed by a cat monster. Or a fish monster, or an insect monster, or an elephant monster, or you might get turned into, might be possessed by a yummy, like be the bearer of a yummy, or I don't know, be killed by a yummy. I mean, there's a lot of downsides to this job, to be honest.
Basically, it will more than likely result in you're dead.
Yes. As we have seen multiple times now.
And it really makes you wonder why people still are signing up for this.
Anyway. So we see the Greed fighting. Unk opens up the van and tries to take some of the medals. And Goto stops him because, how about you fight them and not try to steal shit at the moment? Which they're backed by, Gamel, because Mazul and Uva are up front. And Kazari hasn't showed up yet, has he?
I don't think so.
I think he shows up later. Anyway, that scuffle. Right. Yeah, that scuffle ends up waking up Hina, who just like breaks the ropes that are binding her because remember, super strength, and stumbles out of a secret compartment in the back of the van. Surprise, she was in the van the whole time, and now she's extremely freaked out about this entire situation.
As she should be.
Yes. So now Edgy is also freaking out because, oh fuck, Hina was here and is here and she's in the thing that the Greets want. Oh, can we let them have the van? I think we should let them have the van so someone doesn't die. Please?
And Ank's just like, no, I want the medals.
Because, of course, he does.
I mean, he wouldn't be agreed if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, Hina in all of this ends up getting knocked out. I think by accident by Gamel when he gets shoved into the van.
Yeah, I think he headbutts her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
Because her being knocked out should be the least of it, but yeah. He's
remember,
got
super
a horn
strength
on the top of his head.
Well, remember, super strength. That means you're a bit more indestructible than a normal person. Her brother certainly is at this point. Because I refuse to believe that Ankh has done anything to make his body more durable.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that.
So, in all of this, Edgy gets knocked off a bridge into the water, and he loses some of his medals in the process. I believe Ankh and Goto end up getting like 3 medals apiece, as we find out. And Mazul gets a bunch. Because of this, Uva and Gamel end up taking the van, which leaves Goto in pursuit in car. As Ankh decides, I'm gonna take a dip too because I would like to not lose more medals, please. In the pursuit, Goto ends up getting dunked into a barrier because van beats car.
Every day.
Kazari, who's shown up by now and was in the fights and stuff, proceeds to steal most of Mazul's medals because he has a bigger scheme involved in all this. We see that Uva and Gamel just stop at a warehouse somewhere and are waiting on the others. Ankh and Edgy proceed to get into an argument that has actually been building for the last few episodes over the whole situation. So, like, neither one are really happy about being partnered with the other, but they both need each other, which is the best way to describe their relationship. Like, as a perfect example of like a song in the show being really good in describing the characters, Tajador, or Tajador's theme song, Time Judge All. Literally, the choruses of those songs are Ankh and Edgy literally arguing with each other in the song. That is, like, well, it's not the chorus, but like parts of the song are literally them arguing with each other, singing back and forth in an argument. The music video even accentuates them arguing with each other, going back and forth, because that's their relationship. Again, you don't have O's without them. But Kazari ends up dropping by the warehouse, feigning being injured by O's to trick them into splitting up, because Gamel heads out because it's like, oh no, Mazul's injured, no! And Uva stays behind, but he manages to get away before he loses any medals, because I ain't dealing with this shit. Like, these medals aren't worth my core medals. Well, these cell medals aren't worth my core medals. But Kazari almost lets Hina get away before he tries to kill her. But Unc and Edgy arrive with the save. Because Edgy said, alright, Unc, I'll give you a year of ice pops if you will cooperate. You're gonna say something?
No.
Okay. But Edgy goes to Gozo to fight off Kazari and Gamel, who ends up returning and pops a Yummy because, oh right, I'm the only one who could just pop a Yummy without anyone being nearby. Okay, here's some more help.
Which I have to say is probably one of the smartest things he's done.
Yeah. It's like, oh, O's is here. Well, I have Kazari and me. Oh, I can make a Yummy. Bloop. He ends up losing 2 more medals. I think it's 2 of Gamel's core medals, I believe. But he gets one from Kazari.
So, yeah.
Yeah. These 2 episodes, I feel like, are a real test of, are you counting the medals as the end of the show tells you? Or the little scene after the opening in the end of the show are telling you to. Are you keeping track? Which, I have a question. Did Unc make the app that he keeps track of all the medals with?
Possibly.
Well, like, that's not only some, like, graphic design work that he had to know to do it, that's also, like, some programming design that he had to do it with. Like, you absorbed a whole shitload of knowledge when you got hooked up to the internet, didn't you?
More than likely, yeah. And I could completely see that.
Mm-hmm. But he goes La Tarata. Kazari takes the van, and Gamel, or takes the van in Gamel. But Edgy is left stuck dealing with the UFO turtle Yummy. Which Goto drops by with his level 2 assist, Rocket Launcher! And that gives Edgy the opening to take out the Yummy. You know, I wrote that, but I have no idea what his level 1 assist would be. Would it just be running them over with the motorcycle?
Possibly.
Because I know what his level 3 assist would be, which is a spoiler. And we end on Kazari starting to feed the core medals to Gamel to turn him into a vessel, which is all Maki wants at the moment, is a vessel. So we're going to find out what a vessel is. In episode 16, an end, the greed, and a new rider. We see that Gamel is starting to fully revive with the assortment of medals within him. Bear in mind, he doesn't have all of his medals to make this revival happen. He has a mixture of his medals, Mazul's medals. I think his and Mazul's medals, I think. I don't know if he has any other medals in him.
Yeah, I think it is just his and Mazul's.
He might have some of Uva's, I think. Yeah, he has some of Uva's.
Not at the beginning, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I don't think those get tossed in until the end.
Alright. But Kazari ends up taking Unc's medal as payment and just leaves. And he also knocks over Maki's puppet to make him do the thing again. That's foreshadowing. You know, without context, that probably just looks like some weird quirk thing involving his puppet.
It kind of does, actually.
But I can legitimately say, no, that's foreshadowing, by the way. That's legitimate foreshadowing. Because of what's happening to him. Well, not like... That's getting into spoiler territory. I'll just pocket that for later. We cut back to the Kuskus here as Hina literally forces Edgy to rest by being very forceful with super strength, which is probably not helping, but it's the only way Hina knows to actually get Edgy to lay down and maybe go to sleep for a little bit. Ankh actually meets up with Kagami to figure out what the fuck's going on. Why are you letting Maki work for you if he's against you? And more or less, Kagami is playing all sides in the situation because he wants something. Yeah, he wants a vessel to have the world be reborn in greed, whereas Maki wants to end the world with his vessel. Once more, two sides of the same coin situation, whereas they both want something, and it's actually the opposite.
Which is funny.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, there's a lot of dual-sided things in the show. And that's our cold open. Coming out of it, we see that Ankh wants the core medals he has, but Kagami doesn't budge. And Ankh just leaves. Because he knows he has to play the long game with Kagami if he wants his medals back, assuming Kagami has more of his core medals, he has to play along. And maybe prove an asset to him to get them. But Edgy is there as Ankh leaves, and he asks about the greed, and Kagami is happy to give us backstory.
Because of course he is.
We find out that the greeds were created thousands of years ago at this point, and they were created out of 10 core metals when the 10th core metal itself was destroyed. And I believe in UVAs it's shown to be a head metal, I think. Because I think they use UVAs as an example, which I believe is wrong, as we'll find out later. At least I think it was a Kawagata metal. I might have to pull up the episode real quick to check. Give me 1 second, folks. Because, weirdly enough, this is a plot point for later. And by later, I mean the literal last episode of the fucking show. Alright. I'm about at the scene. I want to say this is Kawagata metal. Unfortunately, I don't know the metals by image. But I don't believe that was Bada. Say, show me it was metals. No, it was a Kawagata metal, which is wrong. So bear in mind that visual reference is wrong. For way later in the show. We actually know which of the 10 metals for at least 3 of the greed were destroyed. And considering I say Bada, you can probably guess what the other 2 are. We don't know about the other 2. But destroying the 10th created them and left them incomplete, which is why they are greeds, why they desire so much. It's in order to fill the incompleteness that is within them. It also has a side effect of sorts, but we'll get there eventually. In the middle of all this, we see that Mizul drops by the bar that the Greys have been hanging out in to try to get help from Uva. And Uva just goes, "Can I have your core metals? I'm going to take your core metals." Which causes her to run.
Which at this point is core metal.
Yeah. Yeah, she only has one core metal. She can't even take her monster form. She's stuck in her human possessed form? Human body form? They never clarify that.
No, they don't, actually.
But considering what Ankh can do later, I think it's just a mimic. I don't think they've actually possessed people unless dialogue has said otherwise. I don't remember if the dialogue said otherwise.
I don't either, right offhand.
Yeah.
Not without looking back at the episodes anyhow, I don't remember.
Yeah, and I have to go back to when we first get the human greed forms to see if they actually say they possess somebody, but I don't think they did.
I'm wanting to say that it only said it was the form they took.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of left that ambiguous there.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Mizul's ended up chased into a park where Ankh is quietly hanging out, and Edgy drops by as well, and they end up helping Mizul, even though they don't know it's Mizul.
Right now.
Yes. So they end up taking out some trash yummy. Edgy ends up questioning what Ankh is after, but he dodges the question for the moment. But we'll get back there. We check in with Maki. Wow, sometimes I just can't not pronounce words. As he tempts Goto with the birth driver, after he confronts him about the whole, "Did you kidnap Hina? Did you stick her in the van? I'm going to be very upset if you did. I might just call the cops. Because, I know some cops, because I was a cop." But he's more or less trying to tempt him to be to just get him to work for him. We'll see the results of that later in the episode. But back at the Coast Kazir, we see there's a Christmas party because it's on or near Christmas, I guess. I don't know what.
It might be.
Well, bear in mind, I was about to say we're on the course of 2 or maybe 3 days over the course of this 2 episodes. So I'm not super sure. Anyway, Kamen drops by in his human form, and he is confused and lost because he is practically a poor lost child.
Yeah. And by practically, you mean he is.
Yeah, he pretty much is a poor lost child. He ends up causing a little bit of a scene by taking out the power with his revived revived form, aura essentially. After he just gets confused and upset, even though he did have a bit of food. But he ends up ducking out, and Edgy falls after him, along with Ankh, and they see that Kamel and Mizul are join back up. Mizul Kamel fuses with Mizul to completely revive her, but then the power overwhelms her and turns them into a giant octopus, elephant, monster, chimera thing. It takes a knock to knock out the CGI budget for reference, because it's a giant CG monster. But yeah, all of the core metals that are within them just overwhelm them. It also doesn't help that Maki, in the process, dunked all the cell metals that he had in the van on them, along with, I believe, 2 more core metals that I think were Uva's.
Yeah. I think this is the point where Uva's gets in the mix. Yeah,
Maki ended up tipping the scales and turning them into this giant chimera monster that isn't them anymore.
Yeah.
Edgy ends up trying to fight him off, but he can't really make a dent in this giant thing because it's a vessel, but it's a failed vessel, as we'll find out. Because Kagami is watching this on the TV, And he's kind of happy, but he's also sad because this is what he wants. But it's a failure. And it won't suit his needs to make a world made of desire, or Maki's desire to end a world, because it's also a failure for him. But it's a perfect test for his new rider system, because he pretty much sends in Birth to go help. So we see Birth in action, pop his finisher, which is the breast cannon. That is practically his version of a rider kick for a finisher. Like, don't expect him to drop a rider kick, and don't expect him to use any other, like, any of his other, like, Gashapon weapon systems as a finisher, I don't think. I think he only uses the breast cannon as a finisher. Which, by the way, yes, Birth is based on a Gashapon, which is, you remember those little, like, quarter machines and stores and stuff that you put a quarter in, you turn the knob, and it pops out a thing in a plastic container?
Yeah.
Essentially that, except more budget and stuff put behind him. Like, Gashapons in Japan, like, you could get, like, the various gimmicks from Rider series in them and at, like, a lower quality than the DX versions. Like, Gaia Memory. You could get Gaia Memories in Gashapons. Well, you can even get, Ride Watches in Gashapon. Like, instead of, like, having the two, like, the revealing face on them, they just have a flat face. The knob doesn't turn, but all the sounds are still in them. So that's what I mean by, like, they'll have Rider, the gimmick of the year, but they're at a slightly lower quality because they're at a slightly lower price point. And sometimes you can't even tell the difference. Like with the Ryu Solger, like Ryu Souls, you can't really tell the difference between a DX1 and a Gashapon 1 at this point.
Oh, wow.
They kind of all kind of look the same and kind of act the same. The only difference is you have to apply the stickers. That's it. Otherwise, they're practically the same thing.
That's kind of funny.
But Birth does his finisher, cracks open an opening. Edgy manages to get enough medals to go Gatakiriba. And he ends up taking out the medal, the monster, and scatters all the core medals within. Unk, Kazari, and Uva all make a grab for them. Unk comes up shorter than the other two on the medals, but he ends up getting a mix of all of the three different core medal sets that were in there. But I think Edgy doesn't have access to any other full combo at the moment because of this. Like, he doesn't have anything to make Shishota or Sagozo at this point.
I think you're right.
But Edgy says they've lost a lot, but they will rebound, and Onk's like, eh. But he does end up answering the question of what he wants. And what's he after? And he's after just a body that will never fall apart again. That's it. But we end on a reveal of who this mysterious rider is as he pulls out the literal manual for it, saying, "Oh, I'm Kamen Rider Birth. Also, by the way, I'm Date. You're gonna like me later." I love how there's just literally a fucking manual for this. He's just like, "Oh, I'm this." I also love it that it's in his milk can, which, by the way, that milk can full of cell metals is his. That's like his prop. And he's gonna lug that around the entire series. Oh yeah, and on that, so what did you think?
I feel like this sets up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And probably even some stuff that we don't know yet.
Yeah. Because I have to ask you this question. Do you think Uva and... Or not Uva. Gamel and Mizul are gone for good?
I feel like that's what the show wants you to think, but probably not.
I'm going to tell you now, they're not. They'll reappear. They'll reappear later. But there's a very specific reason why. And I think the only way I can say this without kind of spoiling what it is that count how many medals were shoved into Gamel, and then how many medals we see at the end of the episodes. As you'll find out, there are probably 2 more medals than was shown. And I'll just say this now, those 2 medals are important.
I can see that.
Yeah, no, it's good 2 episodes. We get a nice little introduction to Date's birth, which, by the way, we're not going to see him next week with the movie, because I don't think he's even in the movie. Because I believe the movie... No.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Birth is in the opening. By the way, Date is neither birth you see in the opening. Because also, there's like 2 births in the movie. Neither one of them are Date. Which is once more one of those reasons why you have to stretch out the events of that movie for O's over the course of the entire series for it to fucking work. Yeah. Because let me just check this.
Of course, that doesn't surprise me. Toei plus continuity equals does not compute.
Does not compute sometimes. Unless the writers are on board on this and like are checking their shit, I don't think there's someone above them to make sure that things don't clash. At least not sometimes. December 18th. So, click in that window. Warherd, go to top.
That would have been dead center of this.
Yeah, it would have premiered like the day before 15.
Huh.
So yeah, Date wasn't even a proper cast member yet, which meant it was filmed probably before Date was properly casted.
Which,
or even before.
That's fine. In the sense of they could do a cameo without any kind of voice lines to kind of just allude to that.
No, they don't.
I said they could.
I was about to say they could, and like by the way, Megamax literally has not just a voice but an in-person cameo from Meteor before his debut in the show.
Yeah.
Which, considering it's practically an end-credit scene, was probably filmed after the proper movie was filmed.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, nope, they don't. Like, I don't want to spoil it for the viewing of the movie, but like the second birth, that doesn't happen for a while. Like a while. And also not in that outfit, so... Yeah. Anyway, anything else?
I can't think of anything, actually.
Alright then. Next week, we will not be picking up with the next 4 episodes of O's. Instead, we'll be checking out one of the 3 movies that aired during O's, or no, one of the 2 movies, correction, that aired during O's runtime. Wait, no, 3, my bad. No, I I was counting the wrong movie, but I forgot about the middle one.
Oh.
Yeah, that one. The superhero Tyson like one. Yeah. But yeah, no, one of the 3 movies that aired during OOO's runtime. In this case, Kamen Rider Cross Kamen Rider Ozen Double featuring Skull Movie War Core. For all intents and purposes, this is the last piece of double media that we have not covered on either incarnation of TGSR. And for all intents and purposes, is the final double story before you get into the V Cinema territory, which aren't really focused on double anyway, so this really is Double's final story. And also, coincidentally enough, it is the first Skull story in timeline order, essentially. Since 2010 gave us the final Skull story.
Yeah.
But it will be that. I don't even want to try to get into the conversation of the continuity of O's portion of this film, because for reference, it is not written by Yasuko Kobayashi, the main writer for O's. It is written by good friend Toshiki Inoue, who has no idea what O's continuity is, as clearly shown in this movie. Although apparently there are now notes in the wiki that details that, so we'll get into that next time, I guess, if it stays there. And then a crossover portion with Double and O's. Yay! So if you don't feel like watching this movie, tune in 2 weeks as we pick back up where we left off on O's and find out just who Date is and find out more about Birth that won't be considered non-canon. I assume. I don't know if this movie is even considered canon outside of the
Probably
crossover
not.
portion. Like, it doesn't help that Shotaro makes the same, like, not the same reference, but his reference here and in Megamax both reference the same event, which is A to Z, which is his first encounter with those. So I'm not even sure if this is considered in canon because of that.
Probably not.
So anyway, anything else?
I can't think of nothing.
All right. See you next week, folks.